Hi, and welcome to Closing the Intimacy Gap, how to restore and maintain the passion, connection, and fun in your relationships. I'm your host, Eva Medilek, and today I have the honor and privilege of interviewing this gorgeous woman, Helena Hart. Helena is a certified life and relationship coach. She helps people all over the world effortlessly attract love into their lives. So whether you're single or if you're in a relationship that seems to be going nowhere, Helena can help you quickly and permanently turn your life around. So thank you for joining us today, Helena.
Thank
I'm
you,
so
Eva.
excited that you're here with us. I know we've talked for a while and it's our first time really getting to work together, and I've heard so many amazing things about you. So thanks so much for coming.
You are so welcome. I'm very excited to talk about this topic and can't wait to dive in.
Awesome. So the number one thing I'm curious about, and I'm sure you have a lot of experience with, is why is it so hard for so many of us to find and keep love?
That is such a great question. And there obviously could be many answers to this. You know, what I've found in the kind of clients and women who are kind of attracted to my work and the methodology that I teach is a lot of times they can be stuck up in their heads, up in their masculine energy. And that it's that same drive and forward-leaning quality that makes them successful in work and other areas of their life that can kind of push men away or push love away or keep them at arm's length to where, you know, they might attract men, but typically what I find, women who are kind of stuck in their masculine energy, the men that they really want never really stick around, right? They might attract a lot of men, like I mentioned, but they never quite take it to the next level of what they truly want for themselves in a relationship.
So what is it about this masculine energy that we have? I mean, a lot of women may not recognize it. Can you kind of describe some of the characteristics? I know, like, I work with a lot of highly driven people, and that's really being in masculine. What do you see manifesting as masculine energy in the women?
Such a great question. I want to start out by saying that your masculine energy is fantastic. You don't want to squash it down or make that part of yourself smaller. My work is really about ramping up both your masculine energy and your feminine energy, just using them in a way that's really going to work for you in your love life rather than against you. So to answer your question, masculine energy is the part of you that's about accomplishing things, doing something, striving for a goal, making decisions, thinking, solving problems, anything that looks like, you know, figuring something out or getting something done, which again, fantastic side of you. It has such an important place in your life. Sometimes though, if you take all of that doing energy and turn it onto a man, if you're on a date with him, for example, or in a relationship, everyone who's tried that knows, you know, if you're trying to get something from a man that he's not freely giving you, that energy can really push a guy away, especially if he's a masculine energy man himself.
So how can we change this?
So the other side of this is your feminine energy, right? And we all have both, by the way. Men and women all have both masculine and feminine energy. They're both fantastic. Again, this is about becoming more expansive, becoming more of who you are, not less, right? So your feminine energy is the part of you that's about feeling, receiving, being in the moment, experiencing everything that's going on around you or within you, trusting and allowing and responding to a man or to anyone. When you're coming from that place, you're in your feminine energy. So a lot of my work is helping women drop out of their head and into their body, or out of their masculine energy and into their feminine energy. So the right guy just shows up and comes towards her, because now there's that space for him to, you know, feel compelled to come closer, not these walls around us that we can so easily tend to build that keeps the good men out. If that makes sense.
So is that this attraction that you work with?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I call it feminine magnetism. It's your attracting power rather than, I would say, like acquisition, going out and trying to get a man, right? It's basically it's pulling the whole world towards you, especially that man who's right in front of you. That's what happens when you get into your feminine energy. That's why it's just completely effortless, right? I often say, like, the work you do is on yourself and your own blocks to love, so that things happen, unfold in a way that feels like ease. Unfortunately, for so many of us, love can be all tied up with things like obstacles or pain or uncertainty. So there's a lot going on usually, but that's kind of the main thing I've seen.
So for those of us who seem to attract the wrong men, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah. Oh gosh. How much time do we? I wrote a whole book on this too, called "Stop Attracting the Wrong Men So You Can Attract the Right One." There's a lot that goes into that. Like, I think you mentioned my background's in psychology. I have a master's in psychology. So much of that I've really found has to do with your subconscious mind really pulling us towards what feels familiar to us. Right? That's what creates this spark of attraction with the kind of men that feel like home to us, right? So our subconscious mind doesn't make decisions about what's good for us or what's bad for us, or what's healthy or what's unhealthy. Our prefrontal cortex is what makes those kinds of decisions. But your subconscious doesn't do that. Your subconscious just wants to say, this feels familiar, and since we're all here, we're all alive, we've obviously survived everything that's happened to us in our past. So your subconscious, a guy shows up who fits into our old relationship patterns or what love felt like to us earlier in life. Your subconscious wants to say, you've survived this, you can handle this. It creates that spark of attraction and pulls us to what feels familiar. Hopefully I'm explaining that clearly.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I actually wrote down that quote because that is a huge landing point, because you'll often hear a lot of people kind of make comparisons. Oh, I've married someone just like my father.
Absolutely, yeah.
or on a second marriage, somehow your second husband is almost just like your first husband, or your first wife and your second wife. So it's really, so that makes a lot of sense, that it's your subconscious manifesting what you are familiar. And
it's our let's see, commitment to survival has our subconscious program that way. It's so committed to homeostasis and keeping us safe, right? So there's this great quote I heard once that when we're faced with something that's familiar versus what we truly desire, we'll often choose what feels familiar to us. If you've known women who, get out of a relationship with someone with like addiction issues, or he's a cheater or a liar, only to get into another relationship with a man with those same qualities, right? That's what's typically going on.
So how do we change that formula?
Yeah, such a great question. Right?
Because it's really resonating, and I know people in that same way. Even my daughter said to me once, because her dad, my first husband, has a drinking problem, and she's like, "Do you think I'm going to end up marrying somebody like that?" I'm like, how do we break that pattern of familiarity and go into what we desire and deserve and attract the right people?
I totally relate exactly to that same issue. This is just my own personal experience, my own opinion, what I've seen in countless clients, and something I've sort of come up with is you have to start changing what feels familiar. If we're being pulled constantly to what feels familiar, you have to change it, working both from the inside out and the outside in at the same time. So if you're interested in, I can go a little more in depth into those if you'd like.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's going to be very valuable to the people listening who tend to be in that same pattern of attracting the wrong men, and they're confused, like, why does this keep happening? It's not what I really want, but it's somehow always where I tend to end up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So working from the inside out, right? That is building up your self-esteem, your self-love. And I know that sounds, everyone just says, oh, just love yourself and be yourself. But how do you do that? What does that mean, right? So there's specific tools you can do. Catching your thought patterns and your belief systems. I truly believe that our beliefs create our reality, not the other way around, right? So if you have this belief that all men cheat, you're going to gravitate towards those beliefs and find evidence to confirm them, because our brains are really hardwired to want to be right always, right? So working from the inside out is huge. There's a lot that goes into that. That's what my ebook is all about. And it's also working from the outside in, right? This could look like, let's say you're attracted to the emotionally unavailable man. Super common thing. We've all been there, right?
Yes.
To turn that around, working from the outside in means from this point forward, you're only going to spend time with men who are 100% available and whose energy is coming towards you consistently, right? And that doesn't mean that a man's special and he's the one, but for him to even qualify to spend any time with you at all, right? He has to have those two things. So many women come to me and they're so hung up on men who are just not doing anything, right? They're hot and cold, they come close, then they back off. And based on that criteria, they wouldn't even qualify. But we can get so deeply bonded to men like that if that's our old pattern, right?
Yeah, I totally, I'm just kind of remembering my past history. Thank God it's in the past.
Right,
So,
yeah.
you know what would be super, super cool for you to share is like a success story of someone that you've worked with, because I know you are a powerful, badass coach, that you really got to really do this pattern interrupt and really help somebody attract. You know, I just want to hear like a little story, how they started, where they ended up.
Oh gosh, there's so many. It's so hard to just pick one. Yeah, let's see. I'll pick someone who's actually on the audio training in the free gift, so you can actually hear from her. Right?
Cool.
Amazing client of mine. Her name is Christina. I believe she was in maybe her early 40s when we first started working together. She'd never been married, never even really came close to being married, and she was kind of like my classic client, meaning kind of stuck on a guy who was an ex-boyfriend. He was long distance, you know, not ready for a full-time committed relationship. And she had this pattern of attracting men who just had some kind of issue that was preventing them from being in a real relationship, right? They had, you know, couldn't hold down a job. Their life wasn't together in some way, their living situation. There was just always something. So we started working from the inside out and the outside in. And she met, you know, got her online dating, and then she met a wonderful guy, completely different from the old type that she was used to attracting, and they got married, I believe, a year and a couple months later. Mm-hmm. So that's typically what I see. It doesn't have to take years and years and years to turn some of these patterns around.
So, like, I'm old and old school. And when I met my husband, it was literally through, actually it was on a blind date with his best friend. It's a funny story because I had just gotten over a breakup, and someone had set us up on a blind date, and my husband happened to tag along. We didn't really get together until many years later. However, the reason why I prefaced it with that old, because when we first met, I don't know, back in the late 1990s, online dating was a new thing. Mm. And so I know that's the norm now for people to meet people in general. Is that what you're young and gorgeous. So I just,
you're like, so sweet.
School an old lady, an old school lady here.
You're so sweet. Oh my gosh.
A lot of my clients who are single are just like, how do I meet people? And, you know, where do I go? What do I do? And
yeah, I would, you know, a lot of people are resistant to online dating. I understand that, right? You know, you don't have to do it if you meet lots of men in your daily life or weekly life. Great, you know, but for so many women, that's not a reality. We're so busy, right? We go to work, we come home. You don't want to date someone you work with typically, and you're just not, or you don't want to meet a guy at a bar. So what do? You know, I've had so many clients meet the love of their life online and have it happen quickly. I think it's a great tool if you do it correctly. There's a right and a wrong way to go about things. And you can start off on the right foot in your feminine energy and just lean back. It doesn't have to be exhausting. It can be really easy and fun, and it can help you turn your patterns around quickly. That's my take on online dating.
Oh, that's cool. Now, do you actually help your clients who are looking for love do that whole online profile and get into their feminine energy?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I have a 12-week coaching program where I go really in depth. So women who are single and looking to, it's called the soulmate attraction system. If they're looking to meet someone and they want to online date, absolutely. It can happen so much more quickly. I found online's kind of like real life, but it magnified a million times, right? So it's your belief systems. I've had women, you know, I have one woman met her fiance. He was the very first man she met online. Other women, it takes her and I did a few months of really deep internal work before she started working with me coming off of a bad breakup. But she wasn't ready. So we worked together, and the first guy she met online, that's the one she ended up with. Other women, it takes long, you know, they have to meet a couple dozen guys. I believe the client I shared, she went on 20 first dates and her husband was number 21. So she's like, if I had given up at 18 or 19, I never would have met him. And so it's a way to, you can meet a bunch of men quickly. You don't have to date one guy for 2 years and another one for 3 years. At that rate, it can take a long time to find the right one, right?
Yeah. Oh, this is so helpful, because I know a lot of the women that I help and support are, a little bit nervous of jumping into that online dating pool and not quite sure how to navigate. So it's really helpful that you have a program to help people with this.
Yeah. You know what I found? I just want to leave everyone off with it. It's when I talked about your beliefs creating your reality. I've had clients where their belief systems where, there's a bunch of weirdos and creeps out there. Those are the kind of men they attracted, right? Other people where, hey, there's so many nice guys out there. Those are the ones that meet the right guy so quickly within the first maybe 3 to 5 online dates. It just depends where you're at. It's a reflection of what you have going on internally often, which is really good information, right? Because then you can shift things like, I've noticed I'm attracting and attracted to this kind of man. You make some shifts within yourself, different kind of men start showing up. Because in my opinion, you attract a mirror image of your own masculine energy. So great, that might be a topic for a whole nother video.
I'm gonna write that down.
So I talk about that in that one ebook too. So yeah, if your masculine energy is taking care of yourself, if you are committed to yourself and your own dreams, that will be reflected back to you in the men you're meeting and attracting, right? If you're attracting men who, let's say, keep you waiting to make some decision about you or the relationship, you can take a look. Where are you waiting in other areas of your life? If you attract men who make you feel like you're not quite good enough, where are you hard on yourself, right? It's a system. So another thing that, dating and meeting different men can really help you to shift your own internal systems to start attracting better quality men.
So you really need to manage your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
The overall theme in anything that you want to attract in your life is change how you look at things, and the things you look at change. I know in a couple of my interviews, I've always mentioned this quote by Dr. Wayne Dyer, which I love. It's like, we have the power to really manage our mind and really change how we think of things so that we can attract the man of our dreams.
I truly believe that. I mean, it's so easy just to say, oh, all men are flakes, all men just want sex. That's so easy to say that. But it's like, where's your power? Where are you in that? Nowhere, right? It's like you, I believe, are such a powerful creator. You get to create your own life. So if you want to just blame men, there's no power in that. And it's just not true, It's not true.
It's really coming from a victim place. And as women, we are so powerful, and we really get to create the life that we want and the relationships we want. So I just want to thank you for what you've offered us. This was really, I was writing feverishly. I don't know if any of you saw that. There were some really powerful things that you were saying that I want to just really bring to light when people watch our interview. And also, you have a free gift that you are sharing with our viewers now. Can you share what that is?
Yeah, thank you for asking. That's my 3 keys to attract the man you want. It's a PDF report and an audio training. A couple of my clients who've some of them who have had success were on the audio training, one of them that I mentioned during this interview. So that's really helpful no matter where you're at in your love life, whether you're single and looking to meet the right guy, or if you're in a relationship and you want to bring your man closer. Obviously goes really deep into some of our subconscious drives, like do you tend to put men on a pedestal and prove yourself to them, right? Are you in your convincing mode, or are you in your feminine energy? There's all different things going on, so it goes really deep. Hopefully these keys are something you've never heard before. That's the feedback I love to get from women. I've never really heard it put that way before. So that's free on my website, HelenaHartCoaching.com.
Perfect. And we'll actually put that on the page where you guys actually linked in to get to this interview. So this is really great stuff. The free gift is amazing. I think we all could benefit from just really having the power and taking control on how we show up and how we attract certain energy into our atmosphere and our being and our relationships. So I would like to invite anyone who's watching, if you know someone who can benefit from listening to Helena's interview and the free gift that she has to offer, then please share this video out. And actually, you might be creating an amazing relationship for someone just out of that. I want to thank you, Helena, for your generous share and the insights. I was writing notes feverishly about all your amazing insights that you shared. And thank everyone for tuning in to Closing the Intimacy Gap. Bye.